Welcome, welcome, welcome to the No Faces Comic Chat. I am your host, Bub. This is Bub's Comics, but with me, as always, we have the Encyclopedia Geekanica. That's right, Geekanica. Write that down, everybody. The man who knows all and says very little, DS Comics. Welcome.
Well, great to be here tonight, Bub. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We're so glad you can make it. We'll catch DS again next week on Bub's Comics. Thank you all. We'll catch you. Oh, no. Here he's back again. What's going on, brother?
Not much. I figured this is a book I wanted to show because I know I have it, but this book should be on your list, man. I feel like this book is right up your alley.
No.
No?
Bring it a little closer. Is that one of those faux Frazettas?
It's a real Frazetta.
Well, then why is her butt so skinny?
Well, he has a wide range of
he usually
draws. I think he wanted the emphasis to not be on her for a change on his cover. But pretty brutal, and I don't know. I figured this would be a book you would appreciate. So, why not?
I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, and Straight Arrow is the Native American guy jumping in to save them from this other Native American who is about to scalp this child. Brutal. One of the more brutal covers I own, honestly, and that says something for real.
Yeah, involved. Cover. Absolutely, I could see that. That's pretty rough.
It is.
I do like it, but when people on the covers are showing skins and shirts teams, I prefer the ladies in the skins team.
Okay, yeah, I hear you.
But I still like it. All right, what do we got in the chat so far here? Oh, and if you all haven't noticed, poor Roger, he couldn't make it this evening. He was having an Amazon package delivered, and he mistakenly wrote the wrong address. So he's been camped out on this poor family's porch for the last 3 hours, regaling them with stories of comic lore old, while he patiently awaits the package to arrive at the wrong house. But I'm sure his neighbors don't mind too bad because they've been living with him for long enough. They're probably used to it. But so he won't be there tonight. But we'll miss him. I scoured the interwebs asking who can fill in for Metarog, and they all agreed that they could not fill his robust mustachioed shoes. And so here we are, just them there, two of us. You gonna make it, DS?
Yeah, I think we can do it. Yeah, we're good to go. I don't know if we don't have anybody tempering, so we may go off the deep end. Usually Roger's the one who reels us back in, and we don't have that. So who knows how far down the rabbit hole we may go, but I'm ready for it.
That is very true. But we'll maybe he'll try from the chat perspective to reel us in. We got Ruben Guzman is in the house, saying, "Cowabunga, fam." We don't know if he's sticking around, though. He tends to drop that all over the internet and then run. He might even be here now. He was there early. We got From Heroes to Icon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jambo Comics just did his drawing for the whatever that. He took some Japanese Yakuza money and pulled out Ken Titus as his winner for his 200 subscriber contest. Congratulations to Jambo, and I hope you sleep well at night knowing the Yakuza money you took. We got Area 51 is in the house as well, hailing from up them there north, but not too far north if you ask him, saying, "Hey, boys, and good evening to everyone else who's not a boy, I suppose." Metarog is in the house, although he's not in the house, but he is of the house, around the house. He's hanging out outside somebody's porch. We told you about that. James Gallegos is here as well. Let's see. We got Gore Vidal. Oh, always a blessing to have him here. Yes, now that he knows Metarog may not be in the house, he might leave. I don't blame him. Here's Slim Comics and more here as well. Comic Mag Musings. I sent him an invite to tonight, seeing if he wanted to join, but he did not respond. I suppose that's how it happens. Let's see. Who else we got? Unruly Simeon, always here, always spreading the cheer. That's what we say. So Glad to have you all. Gray Man squeaking in there. And Paulo Costa is here as well. It sure is busy here today. Yes, it's been a busy internet day on them there YouTubes. A lot of stories and folks going on about their collecting habits. So good to have you all. Glad you could make it. Let's see, I don't have it. So DS, do you remember what the team name was for this evening?
Oh, did we have a team name?
We did, and I didn't even load it up. Look, I'm falling apart already.
The Slippery Slippers.
Yes, that's right. No, that's not right.
Almost got you though.
It's the crap. Now I don't remember what it was.
Slippery Swipers.
Slippery Swipers. That's right. The Slippery Swipers. Way to go there, buddy. Gretzky's here. Welcome. Yes, the Slippery Swipers. So tonight we're gonna have another brief episode because them there Comagories is coming up. So Matt pulled the triple switcheroo on us. Matt, the boy who had 7, is going to have his Comagories this evening. DS and I were invited, and then we unceremoniously got uninvited. Hey, Justice for Comics. Is that about right, DS?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I actually have a little something going on later, so it's fine by me. So yeah, but that's what happened, I think. Yeah, but I'll try to tune into the latter half of that show.
Yes, I'm going to think of the same thing as well. Then we also had, and then I think he said he was going to bump the time up, right? So we didn't have to rush the show. But then he reneged on that as well, also unceremoniously. But we still love Matt, the boy who had 7. He's a great guy when he remembers to be so. So, oh my goodness, it's all gone upside down here. All right, so let's get to today's topic. We're talking about. Wait, I can't get this off. I'm gonna try a little harder. There we go. We're going to be talking tonight about them there homage covers. We probably won't show a lot of homage covers, but then we'll explain why we don't have a lot of them. How about that, DS?
Yeah, that sounds good. I really do like cover swipes.
Do you really?
Fan of cover swipes. But, when you're collecting Golden Age, like dark Golden Age, there's not a lot of cover swipe material out there. So I don't currently own any. But I'll tell you, I've always loved cover swipes. And one of my favorite runs, just to go ahead and get started here, was the McFarlane cover swipes he did in a Spawn run from 220 to 231. He did, they did 2 versions of each. They did a black and white sketch version of each of those issues, and then they did a color version. And I think there's an earlier one that actually has another cover by somebody else. But that run of cover swipes McFarlane did of swiping mostly himself on previous covers was really good. And at one point, I had the complete run of those Spawn cover swipes from 220 to 231. And those are really cool. I really, really love those. Those are my favorites. And then my least favorites are the ones that are overdone. And top of that list for me is ASM 300. I don't need to see any more ASM 300 swipes ever. I'm good on that. You know what I mean? I'm good. I've seen them all. It's done. They didn't even waste any time. He did 300, and then he did 301 and swiped it, and they were like, "Todd, you can't do that. You just did that in the last issue." He's like, "I don't care. That's what we're doing. It's white." And they're like, "Fine." They're like, "All right, whatever. Nobody's gonna buy it." And so he just swiped the next issue as a swipe. So, and then since then, there's been, I don't know if that's the most swiped. I mean, Action 1's been around longer, but I feel like those are the top 2, Action 1 and Spider-Man 300. So, but yeah, there is a Spider-Man 300 swipe in that Spawn run, which I actually like better than 300. And it's the 227, I believe. Wow. I think it's a 227 or I can't remember. It's been a while. It might be 220. Yeah, it might be 227. I'm not 100%, but anyway, there's one of those in that run that's better. It's Spawn, and it's better than ASM 300 in my opinion. So anyway, there you go.
Well, I think that when we're talking about the actual cover itself, I think that ASM 300 leaves a lot to be desired. Personally, I think it's a concept cover, and the concept can get way overplayed. And I think that's what's gone on here. To me, this book is a cool book of itself, and then 301 is also cool. But after that, I could do without any cover swipes of this. It's like if a book gets to 300 issues, it has to cover swipe this.
Yeah, right.
It has to. Sometimes you see them at 100 or 200. I don't know if they don't think that they're going to make it or or what, but they can't help themselves. They have to go ahead and swipe it. And
well, even Spawn 300 is a swipe of that, right? Didn't he do another swipe on Spawn 300?
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, I think he did.
So I mean, it's just wild. Here, Bill's talking about AF15. Now that's one that I find interesting too, because that's one of the rare cases where I feel like, and I was going to bring this up later, but of course, Bill's beating us to the punch. I think that when I look at ASM 252, I think it stands as an outlier, not because it's a particularly amazing cover, but it is cool. It stays on theme because instead of the first appearance of Spider-Man, you have the first appearance of Spider-Man in the black suit. I'm not going to get into all the semantics of continuity versus not and all other crap, but it is iconic in its own way and an important comic in history. But then it also has value. And I think you'll be hard-pressed to find too many comics that are cover swipes, that are obvious cover swipes like this, that still have value in the collectible market other than purely for an art purpose.
Yeah, and the AF15, I forgot about that, but that's up there with Action 1 and ASM 300. Yeah, but ASM 252 is a perfect example of a swipe that I really love because it's not identical and it's the Spider-Man in the black costume. The background colors are a little more eerie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's done. It's like it's a swipe, but it's done in its own style, and it stands on its own. Yeah, so I think that's a cool one. But and somebody's mentioned the ASM 300 swipes at this point are ironic. That's fine, but I mean, I don't need comic book covers to be ironic that much. Just do something art or do there's some cool interpretations of covers that make good swipes. So if you swipe something, make it your own, and then it still can be super cool. But just swiping something for the sake of swiping it to be ironic or cool or funny is I mean, really, that's how I feel about it. But yeah, ASM 252, that's a good one. I like that one a lot.
Well, my anger over the grade on that, but other than that, it's pretty solid.
Well, I'm impressed you're still holding on to that. You just won't ever let go of it, will you?
Well, I tell you what happened this year, finally, and it took, I think, economic prosperity, stimulus checks, whatever you want to call it. But it took until this year for this book to finally, in this grade, be worth more than I have spent collectively on it in the process of having it raw and then getting it graded. So it took that long, you know? So I'm very thankful for it, but really I could have had that happen a lot faster. I'd have been much happier, but it did. Finally in 8.0, because when I first got it graded and got it back, I was so angry. I just wanted to get rid of it.
I know. I remember that.
Oh, man, I was so mad. And I still think it's undergraded, but whatever. Let me try it again is what I think. But I am not a fan of throwing good money after bad, or bad money after good, rather. I prefer to just take my loss on the chin and move on to the next fight. So,
well, and honestly, I mean, you got a newsstand, 8.0 white pages of a key. That's a decent copy. I mean, it's not like you're your favorite character ever is a black costume Spider-Man. So, I mean, do you need a better copy? No.
No.
But you could get a better copy if you want at any time. It's not hard. So, yeah, no rush. I mean, that's a decent copy. That's a good one.
Yep, I'm living with it. I'm not mad at it. I tell you, here's another one gets done a bunch is that Wolverine cover.
Yeah, that was another one that he did in that Spawn run too.
People love to homage that one.
Yeah, that's one of the classic covers from the 80s that like non-keys, just talking of books that are collectible and go for a lot that are complete non-keys. They're just pure cover buys. That one is high on the list from the Copper Age. It's way up there just as far as covers go. It's hard to even come up with a bunch of other ones that are as pricey or as sought after that are non-keys from the Copper Age, and that one is way up there. I had a copy of that recently. I've had several copies of that, but most recently I had a copy, and it was like I can't remember, 7.5-ish range. I sold it raw. I listed a bunch of books, including that one, and that one got the most interest right off the bat of all the other stuff I had, which was keys. So yeah, that is a very popular book and an utter classic from the Copper Age.
Well, it's funny too because I'm not a huge fan of McFarlane's Hulk. I think it's kind of a little bit too gruesome.
Yeah.
But on this cover, it's just fantastic. It's so ferocious, both of them. I think it's great. And I see the appeal, and the story is really good. It's a nice little one-shot kind of story with a tie-in. So that's pretty cool. It's a self-contained story, and yet it also ties into the Fall of the Mutants. So, because at one point, basically Wolverine just falls out of a plane, and you're like, "What the heck?" Right? And then you find out that this is a story that he's involved in, and then he rejoins with the X-Men afterwards. So it's pretty cool. Oh, look at this! Hey, Lynn would have guest hosted in Roger's stay. What happened to you, Bill? You didn't respond to any of my messages. We had you all ready, and everything just went upside down on us. That's our new one for the night. Hope y'all appreciate that. That one's for Bill. $2 a piece. He ponied up extra on that one. Katie barred the door. We just don't know what's going on here at BUB'S Comics. We appreciate you, Bill. Thank you, as always. So that's what's going on there. You never sent me. Now, that's just rude. Anyway, what's another one, DS, you can think of?
Well, somebody else in the chat mentioned Tech 31, and before you tell me to go pull out that swipe that I have, I don't have it anymore. It went in the mail. I sold it and I shipped it out today, like an hour before the email from you about the show came, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to show that one. But yeah, Tech 31, I don't think it has that many swipes. There's a few, and I think Batman 227, obviously, is the one I'm talking about. That is a Neil Adams swipe of Tech 31. And again, that's what I'm talking about. It's done in his style. Yes, he swiped it, but it's so different, and it's in his style that it stands alone on its own as a great work of art. And then he also did another one later on, like, I don't even know when, the 90s or 2000s or something. I can't even remember what book it is, but it's another swipe with the Joker on it that Neil Adams did, which I think is super cool. It's got more of a lighthearted feel to it, and it's got the Joker instead of Batman back there, and it's a Tech 31 swipe. And those are my three Tech 31 swipes, or my favorite two is both the Neil Adams ones. But not a swipe that's done all that much. I don't see that many Tech 31 swipes out there. I think my mind just instantly goes to the 227. But that's a ultimate classic cover from the Golden.
Yeah. And what's the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul?
232. Batman 232.
Batman 232?
Yeah.
That one you see a lot too. And I feel like sometimes it gets overdone as well.
You mean swipes of that one?
Yeah.
I can't off the top of my head think of any, but I think you're probably right. I don't know which
that one. I see a lot of those in modern comics.
I think it probably has. Jambo says Steranko's got a swipe of a Tech 31 on an Airboy. I'm not familiar with that. That's cool.
I want that book, Jambo. That's on my grail list 100%. What happens is that they don't come up for sale very often. It's kind of a black and white type cover, and when it does come up, I tend to miss it. Like I'll see it for sale, and I'm trying to remember, and then it's gone. And I forget to put it on my hunt list. And when you put that in, that Airboy and Steranko, it doesn't always pop it up. Shoot it up, bub. I'm curious. Oh yeah. It was a modern airborne book. I think all I gotta do is search Steranko Airboy and it pulls up usually.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is.
Oh, it's like a black and white. It's just awesome. I absolutely love it.
You know, there is one like, yeah. See if you can find that. I want to see it. See if you can find this.
If anyone's looking for a Christmas present for me, Airboy, I think 51 or 52, or yeah, there it is. Airboy 51. Yep. Let's see. I think this is the one he's talking about. Let's get it all snickered here. Hold on. You guys are working my little fingers to the bone here. Is that it? I think that's it.
That's Tech 31 swipe.
He's saying it is.
Yeah, it is. That's cool as hell. I like that.
I can kind of see it.
Yeah,
I love it. That's on my grail list. If anybody's hunting, let me know. If you find it, I'll buy it off you, maybe begrudgingly, but I'd rather you just send me the link or get it for me and ship it in the mail. Bill has my address. All right, so
yeah, I'll show you one of my favorite swipes if I can find it.
Here, let me know. I'll pull it up.
Well, I don't know what number it is. That's why I'm looking. It's a Witchblade book, and it is a cover swipe of X-Men 251. Now, X-Men 251 is the cover done by Mark Silvestri of Wolverine. It's like a purple and blue cover of Wolverine, like crucified on that big wooden X.
Yes.
That's X-Men 251. It's a Silvestri cover. Well, Witchblade did a sketch cover, and Mark Silvestri did the cover on that Witchblade, and it is a cover swipe of his previous work on X-Men 251. And it's a black and white. I think there's a color version too, but I like the black and white one. But that Witchblade cover is a really, really cool work that stands on its own, but it's a direct swipe of his previous work. And it's the same. I like when the same artist swipes too. That's always cool. Yeah, I can't remember the number of that Witchblade. And there's different series in that Witchblade. It's hard to find.
That's the book you were talking about, right?
Yes, that's X-Men 251. Yeah, that's cool. And then there's a Witchblade swipe of that. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's Witchblade 170.
Is Witchblade one word or two?
One word. It's Witchblade 170.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So see if you can bring that up. It's real cool. And there's the black and white version, which is sort of like a sketch cover or whatever. But then the regular one's cool too.
There it is.
But yeah, she's up on the W. That's Sylvester.
Cool.
Also. He did that one also.
That's cool.
Yeah, real cool. And I don't know it's not something you ever see anybody owning. I came across it once and I just always liked it, and I've never seen anybody show it off. It's way at the end of the run of that title. So I don't know if there's even that many of them out there, but it's probably on eBay. But yeah, super cool. If anybody's into sketch covers, that's a good one to get.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I like that a lot. I like the colored one just because it matches so well the original.
Yeah, the black and white one's good because he did a lot of line work on that cover, which is tough to see on the colored version because it's all colored in so dark. But on the black and white one, there's a lot of line work that comes out that you can see, and it really, really looks cool.
I like
I don't
that.
know if you have that one there you can show.
Which one? Sketch cover?
Yeah, the sketch cover.
Man, DS, you are just too picky. Let's see.
Should be on my comic shop. They probably, yeah, here it is. I got it. I'll show you.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
Goodness gracious.
So much better, man. I mean, if you want to flip to my screen, I'll go up close so you can see some of the detail.
Oh, we got you. Don't worry. Let's see. We'll do this.
Oh, yeah. Zoom in if you want.
And then we'll do...
The detail is amazing on that cover, the black and white one.
That is really nice. I like it.
So if I ever see that, I'm not going to search it out, but if I ever see that in a 9.8, I will buy it just because it's so cool.
Well, have you seen it in the wild before? How did you come across it?
I don't know. I probably saw it on eBay or something. I don't know. I don't know. I researched. Probably went down to my comic shop hole or something, and came across it years ago. And I just, it's one of those things. If I see it, I'll grab one. But yeah, that sketch cover, that's bad to the bone.
That's pretty good sketch work. I like that a lot.
And as far as cover swipes go, that one is way high on my list of the best ones ever done. And it's the same artist, Silvestri, but instead of it's not an exact swipe, because since it's the X-Men has the X that he's crucified on, the Witchblade she's crucified on a W. It's very cool. It's like a little twist to it, and it's done so nicely. I love it.
Yeah, that is cool. I like that a lot. Good choice. Good choice. Absolutely.
Yeah, I bet you somebody in the chat will go find one and pick it up, and I hope they'll show it and tag me, and so I can see it, because I've never seen anybody show that off. I don't think most people are even aware of it.
I've not seen it.
It's probably not worth that much. You can probably find one on eBay for $5. But
yeah,
I never know anybody that ever has one. So whatever. Cool book.
There's another one that gets swiped a lot, but what's funny is that it mostly gets swiped from other Superman books.
Well, that is in and of itself a swipe, of Superman 11, I think.
Yep. This one, and this is one of those cases where I think the swipe is better than the original. I think I like this one better. And I'll pull up the other one.
Yeah, I think I do too. But ever since I learned that Neil Adams hates his own work on that, it makes me question, should I like it? Because even the artist that did it doesn't like it. So then I'm like questioning, you know what I mean? It kind of undermines my interest in something when the guy who created it doesn't like it. And then I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't like it if he doesn't like it. But it's cool because he's like turned to the side and it's got the orange starburst around.
Right.
So yeah, definitely better.
I mean, that's a lot better than the original, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. He's got that one line. First of all, I think he didn't like the leg, Superman's left leg in that one. That doesn't bother me so much. But there's that one line that Neil Adams drew next to the left leg. That long, it's like a line that's a little too dark and a little too long going towards.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it looks like it's a shark or something.
And Neil Adams now I can't look at that cover without looking at that spike, and my eye's drawn to that now because I know he doesn't like that.
Thanks, DS. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I keep this book as an example for myself. When I got this book, it was totally wavy. It had a lot of water damage prior, but the cover itself was in pristine condition. It all had waviness, but there were no color breaks in it. So I really wanted to do a good job. So I pressed it once, dry. I hadn't done any water rehydration to it. No moisture chamber, nothing. So I did it myself once, and this is early on. This is like the second book I ever pressed, right? And I was like, I wasn't really, because everybody says, oh, buy $100 books and run through them. I know. I say, grab a book you want to press and start pressing it. And if you it, who cares? That's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's sort of how I did it too. When I started pressing, the first thing I did was I practiced on something that wasn't worth anything. And then I was like, I didn't care about it. So the third book I did, I'm like, well, let me just crank this up to like $100 book. And I was like, man, I really hope I don't screw this up. And then I was really on top of it. So I was more
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It makes you look at the entire process differently.
Right.
So definitely. So this book was a mistake. I got it too moisturized. I threw it in the press while it was still wet, and it lifted cover off this side. You see all that?
Yep.
All the way down to the bottom.
Oh, that's all from you pressing it?
Yeah, I did that.
Wow.
And the rest was fine. So, but that one spot got a little too wet. When it pressed in, water like squished this way and lifted color off.
Yeah, that's too much moisture.
Hard lesson to learn, but I didn't pay much for the book, and it's worth still now what I paid for it. So
that book's frustrating because I've owned a few copies of it, and Man, it just does not sell. I mean, it'll sell, but it just never goes up in value. It's tough to move. It's tough to get a good price on it. Unless you get like up to like, if you get in the nines, I had a 9.0 white pages and that sold instantly. Like I had people climbing over each other to get the 9.0 white pages. But then when you have an 8.0 or a 7.5, it's like, it's not the easiest.
I tell you what else is funny about this book is that there are some books where a Neil Adams signature jumps the price up, like that the Batman book with Ra's al Ghul. That book signed jumps the price up. The Green Lantern 76, is it? That book, the junkie issue, that book jumps price up when you get it signed. This book, when it's signed, worth the same. You can pick this book up signed by Neil Adams for $100, or you can pick it up unsigned by Neil Adams for $100, and it's still your condition might change a little bit, but it's not one of those where a signature on this book just shoots it through the roof. I can't tell you how many of these books signed by Neil Adams have been offered to me in trades, and I'm like, dude, who are you trying to fool here?
Right?
Neil Adams signature. He charges $50 for that. I'm like, yeah, but there's a million of them out there, and everyone's trying to get rid of it. You know?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of signatures, but there's some artists who sign a ton of stuff, and their signatures don't add enough value to justify what they charge for the signatures. I just stay away from them as somebody who sells books. Neil Adams is one of those signatures. He charges like $50 or $60 for a signature, and if you get that signed, people are not going to pay you $50 or $60 more for the book, because there's a lot of Neil Adams signatures out there, and it's not that unusual. They're pretty common, and so it costs more than you can get extra out of a book. Nobody's going to give you an extra $50 on a $100 book with a Neil Adams signature on it.
Right.
It's just exactly. Like his signature adds much value. I don't know why, but it just seems like that to me. Not like Stan Lee. A Stan Lee signature, he's got more signatures out there than anybody, but his add value. I mean, I see like Silver Age books with his signature on it going for a lot more than they normally would. And then Neil Adams books, it's like virtually no difference. I know people ask for a lot more, but they don't get it. So I don't know what's up with the Neil Adams signatures.
No, that's true. I agree. It's just, and I've looked at it so many times, and I generally tell people, when I see Neil Adams' line being so short, I'm like, that's because you can go on eBay and get a signed copy of every book you're holding right now. That's why his line is so short, because people aren't getting more signatures of his because they already have a crap ton in the market.
Yeah,
they're not worth it. He's charging $50 a sig. If you take the cost of whatever book you bought and then add $50 to it, you get a higher grade of that book already signed on eBay, probably already signed in a yellow label. So
that's true.
What are you doing here? So
yeah, some people are pointing out, and somebody just sent me a message. Apparently, there is that Witchblade 9.8 on eBay, and it's $180. And I'm like, I don't want it that bad. I mean, I'm thinking like $100.
Would that be a book that maybe you would find raw and then just get graded if you thought you saw a 9.8 worthy contender?
Yeah, but that's a tough book to judge from photos because there's so much white you can't see the color breaks or the creases. So it's
on the black and white one.
I've shopped for raw ones before. I'll get one at some point, but it's hard to buy like a white cover online, is you can't see any of the defects. That the whole thing just looks white. There's nothing to contrast to show the creases or folds or spine ticks.
We look at that really differently. So when I see a white book, I feel like I'll get a higher grade because it's harder for the grader to detect color break on a white cover. So if I can get it pressed real good and clean, and it's also easier to clean a white cover. So if I can get it really good and clean and pressed, how's the grader going to notice a color breaking spine tick or not?
I'll tell you how, because there's something called oblique lighting that graders use that I use, and that brings out everything. I mean, any break will show with oblique lighting, no matter how well it's pressed or how flat it is. You can see all that stuff with oblique lighting. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You can, yeah. I mean, you put oblique lighting on it, you'll see it, whether it's a white cover or not, but you can't see it head on. So that makes it tough for the two toughest books to buy to judge condition, to look at photos online, are white covers and then ones with like crazy designs on them, like ASM 238.
I knew you were going to bring up that book because that's your bane. That's your bane book.
Yeah, or like New Gods #1. Try judging the spine on one of those in a photo. It's like a massively intricate grid, gray tone grid all over the cover. You can't tell.
Yeah.
SM238, you can't tell anything on the spine with that book or pictures. So,
well, look at this. What a bum, James Gallegos. I tell you what, though, we don't allow any of that flash of lightning in our in this comic cave. No black lights allowed in in my comic room. That's just for sanitary purposes. So we thank you for that comment, though. Appreciate you. Yes, let's see. We have we got this one, right? This one got swiped a ton too. And this is one of those that I feel like is really losing its appeal as a cover swipe.
yeah, I agree.
It's just not. It's a cool book. It's iconic. It's very awesome. And this is another one that tends to be a little bit extra ironic. Like when you see, like, to me, one of the best ones is the Betty and Veronica one.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
I like that one a lot. But then there's just some. Well, let's face it. I mean, Herb Trimpe, his art is in the middle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In general. So when you get some of these artists doing, recreations of this cover, it's like they purposefully make it as ugly and stupid looking as they can. It's like,
wow.
My
view on swipes is if you're swiping the cover, it should be a good cover. And swiping a key cover is, you're not. The point of 181 is not that it's a classic cover. In my opinion, that cover is subpar, average at best. And I know that probably most people don't agree with me, but I'll bet you a lot of people agree with me. That is not a great cover. So that book sells not because of the cover, but because of the interior and the key aspect. So there's no point in swiping that cover because that's not what's cool about that book. I would rather see a swipe of X-Men 251. That's got a much cooler cover. So I want to see swipes of covers that are cool. I don't want to see swipes of just keys for the sake of swiping keys if they don't have good covers. So I don't really see the point of that. FF48 is starting to have a lot of swipes.
Yes.
And that cover it's better than the Hulk 181. It's all right. I'd say it's slightly above average as far as cover art goes. I don't think FF48 is a great cover by any stretch. And people are swiping it like crazy now. It's not a swipeable sort of cover. It's just a massive key, and I don't feel like it should be swiped. Unlike something like ASM 316, awesome cover, and that gets swiped very loosely interpreted. You'll see swipes that you don't even recognize they are swiping ASM 316 because it's done in such a cool manner. And that's not a key, but it's got a much better cover than FF48. So I don't like swiping keys, just swipe good covers.
Well, I tell you, one of the issues is that I think that they go for themes, kind of. So in this case, whenever you have two people battling and one onlooking, they tend to go for this cover swipe. When it's three people, I think when it's like, here's one I'm going to show. When it's a team of people, you see that.
That is Giant Size X-Men a lot of times too.
Yep, that's true. When it's two teams going against each other, though, they love to do this.
Yeah.
And then someone in the middle screaming. And
Yeah.
I honestly don't think this is a great cover either. I mean, look, Professor X leaping out of his chair screaming was like, what the heck's going on?
I think it's a cool cover, but it's not great. But it's better than the 181, and it's probably.
Well, I can tell you the homages of this book tend to be better than the homages of this book. Like, I don't know if they don't have enough time to draw 10 characters, but they don't do a good job. So this one irks me when I see covers of that. Now, this one, I tend to like when they redo this one. That one I like. Most of the Giant Size X-Men 1 covers, I like those. I like when they redo that.
Yeah, they're decent. I think Giant Size and the X-Men 100 are equal quality covers to me. And I like seeing both of them swiped. Both of those covers seem equally good to me, honestly.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're both decent. I like both of them. I wish they would do more swipes of X-Men 101. But there's a few. I mean, there are quite a few, but there doesn't seem to be that many popular ones. The first Phoenix. Yeah. Oh, you got it right there.
Yeah.
I've yet to see a swipe of that is really, really good. but I know there's a lot out there, and I feel like they're not really that good. There's no great swipes of X-Men 101 out there. I feel like they could easily do one. That's a killer cover.
I think they do some, but again, they don't look very good. I like this one. That's a killer cover. We just watched X-Men 2, the movie. That's probably one of my favorite X-Men movies. And it has the Phoenix, Jean Grey. Maybe not. Has her demise in that movie. You just don't know. You'll have to watch it to find out, right, DS?
That's right. I think it's a decent one. The X-Men 101 though, it's a nice key and it's a really cool cover. And the interior story is disappointing to say the least, because what's on the cover is really not what's inside.
Yeah. That's
like the first page is that, and then the rest of it is pretty boring, in my opinion. But that's, don't get me wrong, that's in the middle or sort of like at the beginning of a run of X-Men that is legendary. So you can't just pull out one X-Men from that run and expect that issue but overall that story drags on. It's a slow burn and it's awesome. But that particular issue by itself, just to read that one issue, is not great.
Right. And on Metarog, on a show that he does actually show up for, Grader's Notes, like they've been known to do not just a single issue like this, but if it's part of an important storyline, or if it's a small, run of books, like 5 or 6 books, they've been known to do the entire arc in order to get you.
You sort of have to do that with these Claremont X-Men.
I think you do.
Yep. Because the story, he was on that title for so long, and it's a really involved, drawn out storyline, and it's awesome. But you need several books to make a good story arc. It's not like they're not like one-hitter stories in there.
Right.
And that one's sort of at the down, boring part of that story arc, I think. But yeah, it's her first appearance, and the beginning's cool, and then the rest of it, it's most of them are standing around talking for the rest of the book.
Yep. Now I named my second guitar Phoenix, but it's actually red. So it's really a dark Phoenix.
Oh, nice.
But who names guitars with 2 names? Maybe I will call it Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, you can. It can be horses and guitars.
All right, that's what I'm going with. Dark Phoenix then is going to be the new. Look, DS helped me, as I've been waiting for 3 years for him to help me do something. Look, here's one that I can't stand. So I love the book, the original, but every time I see a cover swipe of this, I almost throw up in my mouth. I hate it.
You hate the swipes of it, or you hate that cover?
I hate the swipes. I love this cover, but I hate the swipes. I mean, the pose is very weird and odd. I mean, it looks like he just dropped his towel coming out of the bathroom and was greeted by his entire family on Thanksgiving morning. Yeah,
but that one, it's kind of an odd pose, but that's an iconic cover, and I really do dig that cover with the black and the red and all the heroes in the background, and then the black suit Spidey in the front. That's an iconic cover. There's not much you can do when you swipe that. You know what I mean? You just have a character in that pose, and that's the swipe. But I do like, there's a Heroes Con last year, a Heroes Con exclusive of something. They did a swipe of that. I think it has Miles Morales on it. And I
remember when Zek was signing those.
Yeah, I think that cover's pretty slick. It's pretty much the same thing with Miles on it, but it's just sort of a sharper, more polished, modern version of it, and it looks cool. He didn't try to do too much. It's still red.
Yeah, Zek also did that cover. The ones that Zek does aren't bad.
Oh, who did the Heroes Con one?
Zek did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The ones that Zek does, I agree with you, are pretty good. He also did a good one with Snake Eyes, I think, from G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
I think he did that this year, and it's really good as well. So, I'm good with that. But when other artists do it, they really just exaggerate how odd the pose is, and it just doesn't work for me. But
one of the oldest swipes, just to go back to Golden Age, I don't have it, but Detective Comics #1 was swiped. That may be the earliest cover swipe ever. and that is swiped in Atomic Comics #1.
And you're making me work hard now.
Yeah, so I think it's Tech 1. I always get Tech 1 and Tech 8 confused, not the covers themselves.
Is it like the Fu Manchu looking cover?
Yeah, but I think Tech 1 and Tech 8. Okay, so it's Tech 8. Look at Tech 8.
All right. Why wouldn't I?
I think 8 is the one I'm talking about. But 8 and 1, I always get confused. They're very similar to me. You're pretty quick on that, by the way. That was good. You brought that up quick.
Oh no, it's the 8. It's definitely the 8.
Yeah, 8 and 1, I get confused. They're very similar. But 8 was swiped in Atomic Comics #1.
Yeah. This one.
Yeah, that's Tech 8. And so if you really like that cover, you can get a swipe of that from the Golden Age for cheap. It's Atomic Comics #1, and it's really affordable, and it's very widely available for a Golden Age. It's a common book. So something to pick up if you're in the cover swipes and you want something ultra classic and an actual swipe from the Golden Age. The Atomic Comics is a Golden Age book itself. So that's one of the oldest ones.
Very cool.
Let's see. The one I'm showing here, LB Cole, this is a cover swipe of a book that I've since sold. I had a couple copies, but I don't have any currently, of Suspense Comics #8. Oh, yeah, there it is, Atomic Comics #1.
Yeah. Boy, that is really close, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's cool in its own right. And that's a Golden Age book right there. So you can have a Golden Age book and a cover swipe of a classic for cheap. It's a pretty affordable book. And there's probably 3 or 4 on eBay. It's not hard to find.
All right, let's see yours here.
All right, so this is Startling Comics 11, LB Cole. This is from 1952. This is a swipe of his previous work, which I don't have currently, that he did in 1945, which is Suspense Comics 8. And I'll show that right here.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I thought you had that book.
I did. I've had 2 copies. I had a 3.0, which I sold and upgraded to a 4.0, and then I sold the 4.0. So I don't have it right now. I'll get it again.
That Startling Terror book, was that the one that you had the cereal bowl ring on?
Okay. Yeah. So this is my second copy. I had a 2.0 that had the cereal bowl on. So yeah, I had my first. It was like my first PCH Grail I bought was a 2.0 of this. But I don't like to play the upgrade game, and that was sapping my motivation to get an upgrade because I'm like, well, I already have it, so I don't want to put out a lot of money. So what I did is I just cut ties with it and sold it, got rid of it, and then I got motivated to get it again, and I found the 3.5 that really the issues are on the back. I'll turn it upside down so it's easier to see.
Right.
You know, most of the issues, this is not working out, but there's chipping along the top edge.
Oh, yeah, you see it a little bit. Not bad.
It's not bad. It's not good.
It'd be worse if it was on the front cover, but on the back cover, I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, I mean, look, the colors from the front cover, this looks like a 6.5, and it is brilliant, vibrant colors. So this is a beautiful looking copy.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. I almost bought that cereal ring book you had from you just so I could keep it in the family, if you will, because it had that really unique ring on it. I thought it was just cool.
Yeah, I mean, it had character for sure. I love that book for years, and this is my favorite PCH book, so I had to get another one. But I just wanted a sterling looking copy. Ultimately, I'd still like to get a higher grade. I'd like a 5.0 or 5.5 or something like that. But this looks better than the 5.0s that I've seen. So I'll upgrade when I can find a really good looking copy. This also has a black variant where there's blue around the title here. This is the blue one. There's also one where this around the terror is black. And I actually like the blue one better, but the black one's hard to find. Goes for a little more.
Which one was your downgraded copy? Was it black or blue?
Blue.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say like 85 to 90% of them out there are blue. Black variants are tough to find on this book. So maybe if I find an upgrade that's black, I'll just buy it and keep both. And then I'll have a blue and a black. So that's probably what I'll do. But that's down the road. This is not a cheap book, obviously. So it's not like.
Look at that. DS Comics, the Variant Hunter.
Yeah, there you go. It's a variant, sure.
No. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming. Wow. Well, that's cool. We appreciate that. Everybody likes a good variant when it's, as Roger says, a natural variant. So he likes those natural variants. I think that's like when a lady shaves only one leg by accident, like a razor breaks, and then she got like one hairy leg, one not so hairy leg, and so he finds that a natural variant. But anyway,
somebody was mentioning in the chat the price of Atomic Comics 1. Yeah, so people will ask a lot. Yeah, Slim Comics. I'm sure there is probably like a 6.0 or 7.0 they're asking that on. Yeah, 5.5. Nobody's going to pay that. Trust me. That's not what it's going to sell for. That's the asking prices. People don't pay that for an Atomic Comics 1. They will pay like half that. So your best bet is to watch like the auctions. If you see one come up on an eBay auction, or if you see one in a heritage auction, it will go much cheaper than that. Trust me. It's not a $500. It's not a $100 point. Trust me. It's not going to go for that. So you just need to wait for an auction, and you can pick one up much cheaper than that. It's not that expensive. I mean, it's still not going to be $10, but you know, a 5.0 you probably could get for $300, $275, something like that. It's not expensive.
I mean, that's not expensive for what it is.
Well, I mean, if you're buying a Golden Age book and you're getting something cool from the Golden Age for $300 or $400, that's compared to what's in the Golden Age, that's not bad. Now, if you're collecting, if you're dollar bin diving, and that's a big difference from that, but you know, it's all relative. But a Golden Age book for $300 in a mid grade, that's a good deal. Almost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you find one that just has a corner of a cover, you might even get a better deal.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you find a low grade one on eBay auction, like a 2.0 range or something with a spine split, man, you pick that up for like $100.
Now I find now you do a lot more Golden Age hunting than I do, or at least I'll say you're more successful at it. But I find that the low grades are more, I wouldn't say more readily available, but I don't find that people overpay for them as much as, like, there's a big jump. Like once you get to about a 2.0, 2.5, that book jumps hundreds of dollars. Most of the Golden Age books.
Yeah, there's a phenomenon in the Golden Age market, especially for big books or like covers, especially, where there's something called a price floor, where when it gets down, the price will go down with the grade until it gets to a certain point, and then it doesn't go down anymore. It gets down to an entry-level price, and that's the entry-level price whether you buy a 1.0 or a 2.0 or a 1.5 or a 1.8. It will all be the same. And then once you get above the entry level, it starts moving up. So for instance, like this book, a 2.0 is going to run you probably right now $1,200. A 1.8 is going to run you $1,200. A 1.5 is going to run you $1,100, and
right.
Then a 1.0 is going to run you $900. It's almost the same. But when you get to a 2.5 and then a 3.0 and then a 3.5 and then a 4.0, it starts to move up. And then when it gets above mid-grade, the pace picks up and it really skyrockets, because now you're paying a premium for a higher graded copy, because there's not 9/8 on the census for these. So when you get to like 6s, it really starts to be a highly sought after condition.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want a good investment for something like this, the low grades are very liquid, but I don't feel like they're the best investments, because you're competing with all the other low grades out there, and there's a price floor. But if you can get something at a good price right before the price hike, like 5.0, if you can get something just under a 5.0, that's a really good investment grade for stuff like this, because it's right before the premium jumps. So it's the best copy that non-premium payers can find, and your copy will likely be the best one on the market when you decide to sell it. So,
right.
Yeah, this is a little low for an investment grade, but it's not bad. But like a 4 or 5 of this would be ideal.
Yeah, I do like it. I think that what I mean is, obviously I like the book, but I like the idea that floor is there. And if you're hunting a certain book or even a certain run of books, as I do, you learn where that floor is pretty quick. but because the price is a staggering jump, and these are open auctions too, so it's not like someone's just artificially setting a price. These are in bidding auctions. By the time the auction's over, you can find out where that huge jump was. Sometimes I'm surprised. Sometimes I can find a 3.0 that looks just, literally twice as good as a 1.5, of course, and yet it's selling for the same price. So sometimes I'm surprised. A lot of the Jungle Books are good for that. I mean, you can get into 4.5, 5.0, and a lot of the jumbo titles, and you're still paying about what a 2 or a 3.0 costs. And that's staggering to think that there's no change in price between that many levels of grade,
Well, yeah, it depends on the genre you get into. The Jungle Books, it's not a hot category.
Yeah.
So the price floor stagnates much more into it lasts into the higher grades. I'll tell you, I had a 7.5 of one of those Jungle Books. 7.0 or 7.5. It might have been a 7.0. And I had it at like 350, and nobody even made offers. Finally, I put it in an auction, and it was a 7.0 golden age of one of these Jungle Books, and it sold for like $150.
Wow.
7.0. Now you could go on eBay and buy a 3.0, $150. A 4.5, $150. Like, they're pretty common, and there's a lot of nice conditions, and they're not sought after. So people don't want to pay a lot for them. So the price floor goes much higher in grades. Like, really, until you get into the 9s, the price doesn't really start to move that much.
Yeah. Look at Jambo. Easy Diaz. He loves Jungle Books.
Yeah,
I love them too. But I tell you, one of the reasons that I love them is because they're priced affordably. Because I can pick up Golden Age goodness at an affordable price, and of course, Jambo and I both have a great affection for the ladies of the vine, if you will. So, but yes, I mean, but they're super. It's a great entryway, and there's others. I mean, you could go war books from the Golden Age, and straight war titles.
Yeah.
And even some Silver Age too, and those are well under. You could go Western, and it's way under. I mean, there's lots of those types of genres that are super affordable. I don't like Western too much, and I really don't like war books. I know DS is going to throw up that LB Cole book that I showed him that I picked up today, but it's like those are rare occurrences.
Let me show you a Western book that I really like.
Yeah.
It's on my eBay watch list, and if somebody else wants to go grab it, go for it. I'm not that hard up for it. But I feel like this book is really good. This picture sucks, though. Let me find a better picture. Yeah, Western stuff is not that sought after, and you can pick up really quality pieces of art for not that much. And I'm going to show you one here that I've been watching on eBay, and nobody's in a rush to go get it. And my phone is now locked up. Oh. Oh, damn it.
Now, Bill's talking about Matt Baker romance books jumping up, but I really feel that the reason that has happened is because all his other books are getting out of reach. And really, even books that have Matt Baker interiors are going for higher now. If you can just get the name Matt Baker on a slab, it instantaneously raises the price. And it doesn't even have to be a cover by him. And it already jumps the price of the book up, which I find interesting. Oh, yeah, that's cool. I like that. The Black Rider, huh?
Yeah, and the art, I mean, even what the writer's saying, Yahoo Satan onward, I guess his horse is named Satan. It's a yellow cover. It's got a cool trade dress with that Western and like wooden panels. And the artwork is really good on this cover. Really, really nice work of art here. I love it.
And who's done that?
So that cover is by Sid Shores, who's pretty well known in Golden Age. He worked on a lot of Marvel's like timely stuff. He did a lot of like Golden Age cap covers and stuff like that, working on timelies. So Sid Shores, pretty well known name, really good artist. On eBay right now, there is a 6.5 white pages for $250.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, but nobody's bought it. It's been on here forever. I'm still watching it. I haven't bought it either. I'm not in a hurry to buy it, but every time I look at it on my watch list, I'm like, man, I should get that. It's so cool. 6.5 white pages, and it's from 1949, and it's just really cool. And doesn't sell for $250. So go figure. I don't know, but there's a lot of really good art out there.
When I watch a book for too long like that, it usually sells, and then all of a sudden I can't get another copy. But for a lower condition, and my brain, I've looked at that book so often. I have a Weird Science Wally Wood book that I've been looking to pick up for years now.
Yeah,
and in my brain, I almost feel like I already own it because I see it for sale all the time at the same price. This one copy's been floating on eBay literally for 2 years, and I never bought it. And then it disappeared. I was like, dang, it's gone. I had it in my cart forever.
Yeah.
And it disappeared. And then I started looking for another copy of it, and they were all in lower condition for higher price. Then I was pissed. So.
Well, yeah, there's, when you find, especially for Golden Age, you find the right copy that presents well and just looks really good, and it's a decent grade at a decent price. It may be a common book, but it might not be common to find one in that grade range that looks that good. So those are what I aim for when I buy books. And that's why I'm saying like that All Western Winners 3. It's a Western, but it's a yellow cover. It's a phenomenal work of art. That's a 6.5 white pages. If somebody buys that, I could probably find other copies of that. It's not a highly sought after book. It's not super rare, but then I probably maybe 7 years before I see another copy that good for that price, and it probably won't be that price. So yeah, I mean, there's little hidden gems out there, and I bet if I bought that book and I got it, I would be so glad I bought it. And I bet if somebody else goes and buys it and I miss out on it, I'll be like, damn it, I should have bought it.
Yeah.
But with limited funds, you can't buy everything. If I was rich, I would have already bought that book for sure.
Yeah. Look, that's a book I'm after. An Action Comics 252. I'm after that book too, but that one's pushing out of my price range. It seems like every year that book goes up, and I'm just not willing to chase it. I want it, but I don't want it as hard as the book is rising. And it's also a book you don't see if you go to a lot of conventions, it's not a wall book. You rarely see that book thrown up on a wall. But I feel like I have a chance of finding that book at a convention because it's not usually a wall book. I feel like it'll be a book somewhere in like, how when you go to some of the more golden Silver Age collector or Silver Age dealers, and they'll have, meaning not modern, right? Not a bunch of variants all over the place. They'll have boxes underneath the wall that they swap out. And I feel like that book is in there. Like,
yeah.
That's probably just in my head, but I feel like that book is in there. It's a book that they don't think they can get enough money for. They're holding on. They're waiting. They're slim saying $850 for that book. But a lot of dealers don't put 2.0s on their wall. Like they're not super excited about that. They want higher grades, mid grades. That's a good book to me. That should be raw and in a box underneath the wall somewhere.
Yeah, and the thing with that book spiked a few years ago, and it was really hot, and it was selling for a lot, and it was because of there was Supergirl was like sort of all the rage for a minute, like 3 or 4 years ago, and that book really popped, and it was selling really well, and it was a hot book. There was a lot of people looking for it, paying good prices, and it has since cooled off. And the price has been dropping, and it's sort of plateaued much lower now, where I think you can get probably a really good looking 4.0 for like $1,300. I bet you if you are patient, you look around and you're watching auctions and eBay and Heritage and Comic Link, whereas that was selling for like probably close to $2,000 a couple of years ago.
Well, a lot of people will say, "Oh, just ride out the hype and let it go." But what happens for me as a low grade collector is that the low grades are the ones that don't come back on the market.
Yeah.
Because people that are investing in the book who are writing the spec, right? They're looking for mid grades of that book, not low grades, mid grades or high grades for that matter, but not low grades. And then they're getting them pressed and cleaned and slabbed, and then they're holding on to them, hoping they go up. And when the price starts to drop, they panic and they start selling. But when the low grades are up for sale, people snatch those up for their personal collections because they never intend to pay the high or mid grade price, and that's me.
Yeah.
So when spec happens, the low grade books disappear, and that's what upsets me is I can't now. I miss my opportunity. It's not that I'll never own that book, but I'll never have a nice affordable low grade copy of that book. Instead, I'll have an unaffordable low grade someday, which sucks. You know?
Yeah, if you're patient, that book's easy to find. You'll come across it. But the further back you go in the eras, the patience takes on a different definition. Being patient for the right New Mutants 98 means waiting a couple weeks. Being patient for the right copy of Action 252, you might have to wait a couple years. So it's just a longer timeline for the patients. But it looks like Slim is saying a 4.0 1850. He's probably pulling off a GPA, or maybe there's one on eBay or something. Yeah, I think that price is high right now. I would think you can get under 1,500 on a VG copy of Action 252. Can you get one today for that? Maybe not. But if that's on your list and you're looking for it, you can watch Comic Link and Comic Connect and Heritage and eBay and Instagram, and you go to cons whenever we have those again. You can be patient, and within a year or so, you will get a 252 in a nice VG range for below 1,500. That's what I think. But you got to be a little patient.
Like there's a book that I was. Sometimes you can be too patient. There's a book that my last book for my 2020 want list. 5 out of 6 books secured, 1 book unsecured.
What is it?
It's a Superman 63, and that book I've been trying to get it. Really, I've been trying to get it for 2 years now, but I put it on. This year was the year I was going to get it. I've seen 3 copies come up for sale this year, and only one of them met my criteria. But at the time, the other 2 were still available. And I did bid on it. I didn't win it. Okay. And it sold for a price more than I kind of wanted to pay. Then the other 2 books sold for higher than that, and they were lower grade. One was a lower grade, and one was a Canadian variant that I just didn't like. It was a Canadian price variant, but if you guys know about Canadian variants from the Golden Age, I'm speaking to those other than DS at this point, right? What happens is that they change the page counts on those books. And so because they don't have all the same American advertisements, because they don't need them, right? They have different advertisements from Canada, and there'll be fewer of them. So because of that, it changes the page count. Also, not all the time, but in DC, I found the cut is on the cusp for this particular range that I'm looking as far as the age of the book. So they cut it more to a Silver Age size than a Golden Age size in Canada when they printed them in Canada. So the books that were printed in Canada are missing an edge of the art. It looks like it's trimmed.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's cut off. And then it's also missing the 52-page special at the top because it didn't have 52 pages anymore. So they cut that out too. And those are little things. 52 is my favorite number. So those are little things that made me not want the book. That book sold for an affordable price. I didn't grab it. And now there's none available. There hasn't been any available for 4 months. And I probably won't get it by the end of the year, which kind of sucks. To get that to my list, 5 out of 6, and not get the last one.
Yeah, that's why I stopped doing want lists, especially when I got into Golden Age, because a year is not enough time to pick up 5 or 6 or 10 specific books I'm looking for usually. So I stopped doing want lists. I have like an informal want list in my head where there's massive grails that I want. And then there's books, like second tier books that I really want. And I know what they are. But they're not written down, but I know when I see them, like that's one that's on the list, or I could probably rattle a few off to you if you asked me, but I will just keep a budget and I'll keep an eye out. And when I see those come up from time to time, I'll watch it. And if the price is right, I'll get it. And if not, I'll pass and wait for the next one on my informal list to show up. And I'll tell you, there's books that I picked up this year that I have been patiently searching and waiting and looking for and waiting for the timing to be right for years. And I got them this year, and I got them for good prices. And, a year is not, for a Golden Age book, A year is. I don't expect I'm going to find if I figure out a new book I want that's in the top tier for me now and it's new. I don't expect I'm going to pick it up within the first year of wanting it. So I have a much longer timeline, but I don't have a want list where I'm stuck to a certain books. I just have, a group of books I'm looking for, and some will pop up here and there. And when there's one of those that pops up and all the stars align, I'll get that one. And that's what happened with this one.
Yeah,
I got this on eBay auction that ended at sort of an odd time, and I was the only bidder. It was a high starting bid, which makes most people not want to watch it because they don't get invested in it. And it just had a sort of a high starting bid, and I was the only bidder. And I got it for the starting bid, which was, I don't know, 30% less than what I think it's worth. So I think I got a good deal on it, and it's a beautiful looking copy. But yeah, it took me more than a year to replace that, or about a year, I'd say. So this one I waited. I've been looking for this for like 4 years.
I love that book. See that up
Yeah, and I would have never thought I could get a 4 or 5 of this, but I tried to work out a deal with the seller who was selling it privately, but I didn't want to pay that much for it, which is why I still didn't have the book. And then nobody else did either. Somebody finally bought it off them and put it on eBay auction starting at $1, and I was the high bidder and got it for much less than what the asking price was privately for the same book a month earlier.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But this is, I would probably 4 or 5 years I've been looking for this.
That's a sweet copy too. And it's in a new case too. I like it.
Yeah, but this case got scuffing all on the front of it. I'm not real happy with my work on this one.
But when you got it, it was like that?
No, I got it it was in the old case. And so I sent it in for a reholder, and I got the new case, but it's got scuffing on the front. So it kind of defeats the purpose of getting the new case. But whatever. I mean, it still looks way better than the other case. And for a black cover and a 4.5, this one is a 4.5 because it had staples added, which were since removed. The original staples are still here. But it has, and you can't really even see it.
No staples added?
It's probably not even going to show up. Didn't even really break the color, but there was a staple added that was removed. And then in the bottom here, there's like, I don't know how you characterize that. Corner's kind of chewed up.
Oh, yeah. No, I've had the same issue on some of my books. In fact, I was handling a book and the entire corner fell off one time. Where is that book? Oh, it was my Human Torch. So my Human Torch number 10 had the same issue in the corner here.
Yeah.
That same break.
Yep.
And that was just it. I took it out of the bag. I opened the book, and that whole corner fell off. And what it was that was like a dog ear that has been bent so much over the years that it just finally just disintegrated. And it's a sign of you may not have brittle pages everywhere, but on that corner you did. And that was enough, Yeah,
it's possible. I've looked at it, and I can't tell if it's that, which I've considered. It also looks like it may have been nibbled on, but then it also looks like
chew. And usually chew isn't the entire book. It's not every page all the way through,
Yeah, and it's so, when I show it up close, it looks really bad.
Yeah, that's how I feel about mine too.
But when I hold it back, it's such a minor, it's not really that big, and it's not really that noticeable that this book is beautiful looking aside from that. So, yeah, 4.5. This is a nice copy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Tat's here, but we're leaving. So what do you say? Look at Chaos. Collecting Chaos says that he bid on a 63 earlier this year, and he didn't get it. Well, I didn't get it either. I guarantee you we were bidding on the same book because I bid on every one that came up this year. Even the Canadian copy, it just went up higher than I wanted to spend for a book that I knew was not going to satisfy me. Sometimes there's just something about a book that I know, even if I get it for a good deal, I just know it's not going to satisfy. I'm going to keep having to hunt that book. So I try not to overspend for books like that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And for me, people always say low grade is better than no grade. For me, that's not true because, yes, maybe there's certain books that I want that I still don't have because I don't want a low grade or something that's not presentable or whatever. But I buy other stuff instead, and then when I go look through my boxes at the books I own, they're all nice presenting books. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Bronze Age horror, same deal. Low grade's not better than no grade for me, but there are bronze horror books that I don't have. And I'm waiting for a higher grade or a nice presentable good copy to come up. And I still haven't. But in the meantime, it's not like I'm not getting anything. I'll get other stuff and put that in the box. So when I look through the box over time, all the books are nice, presentable, good quality for my standards. And I don't have any of the low grade better than no grade stuff. But the sacrifice you have to make if you want to be on with me on it and not say low grade is better than no grade, the sacrifice you make is that there are books you want that you still won't own for a long time.
And you may never own.
And you may never own. That's true. I'm okay with that. If you're trying to complete a run or you want a certain Silver Age character's first appearances, I mean, you're either going to get it or you're not. And if you really want it, you have to get it. And you'll only afford low grade. For me, I'll just get I don't really care what I own. I just like owning stuff that I like, and I can go on to something else. So I make that sacrifice. There's books I want that I may never own because of that. But all the stuff I do own, I really like, and I'm very happy with. So I don't know. It's just a different side of the coin, sort of different way to look at it.
No, I totally agree with you. The only thing that, to me, it's a per book situation. I don't make a determination across the board, but per book, I decide what I can live with and what I can't. And then if it's in that and it's in the price I want to pay, I determine the condition and the price whenever I'm hunting for a specific book. And it can't be below that condition and it can't be above that price. And then I go for it,
Yeah, same here. And then sometimes I make, there's books that, like, this is a book I want, but it wasn't, it's sort of the opposite of low grade is better than no grade. High grade is better than no grade because this is a book I wouldn't normally have on my list that I want. I'm not like, I really want to get a Mysterious Adventures 21. Yeah, it's a cool book and I like it, but it's not something I ever plan to buy. But then I see a 7.5 off-white to white.
Hey.
Now high grade is better than no grade. Now I can afford this. It's not too pricey. I'll get this. So there you go. Now I have a book I didn't plan on getting, but I found a high grade. Well, I mean, relatively speaking, it's a golden age pre-code horror. 7.5 is pretty high. So, and honestly, as a 7.5, I really like this book. It's got the faces in the background are what make it for me.
You love skulls and guys in hoods. Just
yeah, and I like all the background faces are like yellow and green, and the only ones that are white are the skulls.
Yeah, freaky.
And these guys are dressed like a lot of people in the pre-code think that detracts from the book, the way these guys are dressed. But to me, it looks much more realistic and scary. It's almost like they're cartel members or something.
Yeah, I'm with you. They look like bus drivers from New York City.
Yeah, I like this. This is really cool. And I wouldn't buy this in a 4.0 just because I don't like the book that much. But in a 7.5, I really like the book. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I get you. Absolutely.
And like bright white. I'm almost surprised it's not a white pager because when the back cover looks like that, it's usually a white pager.
Well, you could let it breathe and send it back in.
Yeah, I don't mess with 7.5 Golden Age books. They're good as they are.
Yeah, I hear you. You might come back with a 5.0 white pages. Then what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, TGC might lose it.
Oh, rip the cover off.
Right?
That's the story for another night.
Yeah, right. People were telling me to crack this out and press it. This has not been pressed. Yeah. But with that little corner thing and the staple holes, and it's already a beautiful looking 4.5, why mess with it? I mean, I don't think I can get a 5.0 on it anyway, but to undertake all that risk to get a half point bump at most, probably it's not worth it to me. I'd rather just keep it like that.
Well, I put my CPR books on the extreme low list of things I'm going to spend my money on because I just don't. I have other books that I would rather see in slabs, period, that are raw right now, and I'd rather put my money on that than cracking one and resubmitting one that's in a perfectly good slab. Yes, I can improve the grade. I can improve the presentability of some of these books, but it's not really worth my money as opposed to putting it towards something that isn't in a slab at all that I can already clean and press and put in there and it'd be perfect. I just feel like I just would rather spend my money on things I don't have slabbed yet at all. Yeah,
I agree. And I only CPR things that I plan on flipping, and it's just money. And even then, I don't do it all the time. And even when I do it, it doesn't work out all the time. you know, it probably works out 75% of the time, but 25% of the time it doesn't work out. So you got to be picky and choosy. People have this thing like CPR, 100% guaranteed, bump to a 9.8. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Sometimes the grade goes down. Sometimes the grading standards have changed from when they first graded the book back in 2003. And now you improve it and they drop you half a point. That happened on a book to me recently. I improved it, but they graded one of the defects differently, more harshly now than they were back in the day. And so it went from a 9.0 to an 8.5. You know, well, that's no good.
No, but I agree with you. I mean, you're taking a chance every time. And for the PC, and if it's already in a condition and a case that you're happy with,
right,
just write it out.
Yep.
If you don't like the case, submit it for a reholdering. I do that. That is worth the money to me. If I've got a big scratch case or something that's got a big scuff on it, I'll send it in for a reholder. That doesn't bother me at all. That's an easy spend. But to crack it and then resubmit it and pay double, especially if I've sent it in myself, but that hadn't happened in a while. So, all right, man, let's hop off here. We'll send over everybody to Matt, the boy who had Seven's channel. Go check out currently underway what's it called? Comagories currently underway. DS and I were contestants last week, and this week we're probably spectators. You never know with DS. He keeps his cards close to the vest. He may pop in. I don't know. Maybe I just got invited. Maybe not just. You never know. But we're going to check it out. Go see what's going on. This is what's happening outside of DS's door, so he's got to go.
I like that. I haven't seen that one before. That's pretty good.
Liz is hanging out over at Rogers, but Jessica's at DS's. So, all right. Well, we'll check you guys out later. Remember to read a comic. DS says do your homework, and we remind you to not apologize for the glare. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.